Recording. Okay, children. I'll be using red marker. Will that be fine?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, fine. See, so as per the resource sheet, we have discussed the difference between the weather and climate. Yes, Krishna, please mute yourself better. Okay, keep yourself muted. Now we are going to talk about the different elements of the weather and climate that actually contribute to their changing. Right. See, the first and the foremost important is the temperature. Can you see? Temperature. The temperature plays a major role. Temperature is the one that affects everything. The direction of the wind is also affected by the temperature, right? The creation of low pressure is also because of the temperature. So the areas, for example, areas of high temperature always have low pressure, and areas of low temperature always has high pressure. It's just the opposite. Then the atmospheric pressure. Atmospheric pressure means the pressure exerted by the atmosphere, right? That is also one of the element of the weather. Then the third one is humidity. Now, humidity is the one that you are facing these days. It is the amount of water vapor present in the air. Humidity is amount of water vapor.
The water vapor present in the
air. So this is humidity. Then precipitation like rain, snowfall, hail, dew. These are all precipitation forms. Then winds you all know, and clouds you know. So if we discuss the temperature or the weather these days, these 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, yesterday, and Wednesday today, you will find that the weather is cloudy. You can see clouds there because most of the the sunlight is not clearly visible. Sometimes it is visible and sometimes the sun is hidden behind the clouds. So we say that the weather today is cloudy. And always remember one thing, cloudy the weather, more cloudy the weather is, more humidity will increase because the water vapor remains in the atmosphere, and because of the clouds it is blocked in the lower layers of the atmosphere and it does not get place and space to escape up. भाई एक सिंपल सा आप अगर फंडा समझोगे, ये देखो, जैसे मान लीजिए दिस इज अ क्लाउड, ठीक है, and this is the surface of the earth. It rained, and after rain the water which has fallen on rain, it will be converted into what? Vapor. This is vapor, and this is cloud. It is blocked. So the environment will become what? Humid. Are you getting that? Have you understood this concept? Right?
Yes.
So even if you look it into your book, did we write any questions that day?
No, sir.
We have
No,
not
sir.
Sir.
I think one question we have written, what is the difference between weather and climate?
Yes,
And
sir.
define the following terms. Write down, define the following terms. So the following terms mean the terms given in the learning terms. Okay. Define the following terms. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Then we have discussed about the elements of the weather. So you can write down, name the different elements of weather and climate. You can write down this question. Name the different elements of weather. Right? Name the different elements of weather, children. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Then, Tanul Verma, switch on your video first of all.
So can you tell the question again?
I have written the question on the screen. Name the different elements of weather and climate. Akarshi Jain, your video is not visible. Hardik Gupta, Manya Agarwal, Parth Agarwal, Raghav Singh, video on. Who is this? Mohammed Shahud. Who is this? Mohammed
Chavez.
Chavez. Switch on your video. Okay. So have you understood this? Now we are going to talk about a phenomena of how the temperature actually works, how the temperature increases or decreases, and what are the different reasons. Now, Krishna, I have removed Chavez and Yukti Maheshwari. So they both are absent.
Yes, sir.
Now, we all know sun, and this sun constantly radiates heat and light in all directions. We all know it radiates heat also, and it gives us light also. This process is known as solar radiation. So, solar plus radiation. Now, solar means sun, and radiation means a phenomena of transfer of heat. There are three ways by which heat is transferred. If you remember, what are those three ways? Can you tell me what are the three ways by which heat is transferred? Okay, let me tell you. One is radiation, then conduction, and then convection.
Yes.
So we get heat from the sun by the method of radiation. The earth radiates, sun radiates heats. That is known as solar radiation. Now, when this radiation comes in, the amount of solar radiation received on earth is called insolation. So whatever we are getting in, that is insolation. Solation means solar radiation. Solation means solar radiation. And when this radiation comes in, it is known as insolation. Is that clear? All of you?
Yes, sir.
Then
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
the earth is receiving this heat. Yeah, right from the morning. The earth receives the heat. It receives the heat. It receives the heat. It receives the heat. And what happens when it continuously receives the heat? Yes. What happens when earth receives continuously heat?
It become hot.
It becomes
Hot.
Sir, it
become hot
becomes
and sunny.
hot.
yeah, exactly. It becomes hot. Okay, it becomes hot. And when it becomes hot, what happens? Just give me 1 minute. I'm removing the ones who are not switching on the camera and who are not.
So the land get
Nithani, I have removed Akarshi Jan also.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So when it says that the
so
incoming
the land get dried.
okay, the incoming solar radiation is received in the form of short waves, and these do not heat the atmosphere. These do not heat the atmosphere. The heat energy which is received by the earth is reflected back by the earth's surface in the form of long waves. This is known as terrestrial radiation. So what happens when we receive continuously insolation? Then the earth becomes warm and earth starts reflecting the same heat towards the atmosphere. Now, let us understand one. I'm erasing all this. Okay. Let us understand one simple concept. Okay. So as I told you, if this is our sun, okay. Now, whatever energy we get, this is insolation. This is Earth's surface. Okay, this is insolation and it is in the form of short waves.
Solar radiation.
Why it is in the short waves? Because they are very quick, right? Because they're very fast. Because sun is actually a source. Is Earth a source of heat energy or sun is a source of heat energy?
Sun is
Because okay, because sun is the source of heat energy, the waves are in a short form. You will understand all this when you come to class 9, 10, 10. These things will be explained there. This is known as insolation. And the earth gets heated up. When it gets heated up, it reflects. This is known as terrestrial radiation.
Terrestrial.
And this is in the form of long waves. Now, why long waves? Because Earth is not a source of heat energy, right? Earth is not a source of heat energy. Therefore, it releases the heat in a slow process. And whenever a heat is released in a slow process, it is converted into a long wave form because the speed is slow. Just tell me one thing, a simple example I'm asking all of you. If you keep a pan on the stove will be heated quickly? Yes or no?
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. But if you want anything to heat by keeping on the same pan,
Sir, it will take time.
it will take time. Do you agree? Because pan is not the source of heat. It has got its heat from the stove. And just because it got heated, let me speak. And because it got heated up because of the stove, it will also have some heat energy, but it is not the source of heat energy. Similarly, Earth is not the source of heat energy. Okay, Earth is not the source of heat energy, so it sends these terrestrial radiations in the form of long waves. Okay, is that clear? So you should know what is terrestrial radiation. So write down the next question. What is the difference between insolation and terrestrial radiation? What is the difference between insolation and terrestrial radiation? Okay, so I want you all to write this answer by your own and we'll discuss it in the next class. We'll discuss it in the next class. Okay, you all have to find out the answer. You have to write at least 2 points each in this. Okay, let me see who writes the correct answer. The difference between terrestrial radiation and insolation. So have you understood the concept of insolation and terrestrial radiation? Let me quickly revise it once again. Sun is the source of heat energy. It radiates heat and sends it towards the earth. That is known as insolation. And it comes in the form of short waves. Short waves, because the energy transfer is very quick, so it comes in a form of short waves. When the earth becomes heat, it also starts radiating heat. This type of radiation is known as terrestrial radiation, and it comes in and it goes in a form of long waves. Why long waves? Because earth is actually not the real source of heat energy. It is actually reflecting the heat energy it has received from the sun, and the process is very slow. Therefore, it is in the form of long waves. So this insolation one more thing I haven't told you. This I should write one thing. Just a second. Insolation does not heat the atmosphere. Okay, and these long waves, they heat the atmosphere. They heat the atmosphere. Have you understood this? Have you understood this, children? Okay.
Yes.
Because they are coming in a form of long wave. They're coming in a form of long wave. So it is a slow process, and finally what will happen? Finally what will happen? They are going to hit the atmosphere, and these short waves are coming in such a great speed that they do not hit the atmosphere. Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Shall I erase this?
Yes,
Shall I-
sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now we are going to talk about some factors that actually affects the terrestrial radiation. भाई दो तरह की चीजें हैं. I hope you have heard of Birbal's khichdi. Have you heard of that story?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
The Birbal's khichdi. Yeah. The Birbal, he was such a person with such a wit that he hung the pot in which the khichdi was as to be cooked on a tree, and the fire was just below that tree. What do you think? How long it will take for the khichdi to cook?
Sir, it will not
Sir,
cook
6.
only because the heat is not reaching the vessel.
Exactly. You are absolutely correct. You are absolutely correct. Now, this is Earth, right? What is this? Arctic Circle, Antarctic Circle, Tropic of Capricorn, Tropic of Cancer, and Equator. Yeah?
Yes.
Is it so?
Yes, sir.
Please keep yourself muted. Now, if this is Sun, if you can see this, the sun rays are direct on some places. I should rather use a different. Okay, some places have you checked out? These are direct, and these are the places which receives
Low.
now. This area and this area, they're receiving indirect rays. And this area is also receiving indirect. Do you all agree? They are not receiving direct rays of the sun,
Yes.
but there is one area which actually receives the direct rays of the sun, and this is this area.
And so that is why the Earth's core is very hot.
No. So the terrestrial radiation in these parts will be different. The place where the rays of the suns are direct will have more terrestrial radiation, more heating. Whereas the areas near the poles, now these are the area near the poles, okay? These are poles. Here the terrestrial radiation will be less, the heating will be less, and this is the reason why these areas will have less terrestrial radiation. Have you understood the concept? So this is actually what we are going to talk about, the different the factors. The first one is the latitude factor. The first one is the latitude factor. So you can write it in this way, that the tropical zones, or you can say that you can say it like this: the tropical zones receives direct rays of the sun, therefore more terrestrial radiation. Okay, and therefore more terrestrial radiation. Are you getting that? Tropical zones receive tropical zone receives the direct. Now, what are the tropical zones? This is the tropical zone. This is the tropical zone. The area between Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. Is that clear, children? Is that clear? Then
Yes, sir.
the polar regions receive slanting rays. Please note it down in your self tutor. And below it, Tandon, you keep eating. You don't study. You keep eating. Sometime before you were eating banana, now you're munching something else. What will you do at 9:15? I think you will dance. The polar region receives slanting rays. Therefore, less terrestrial radiation. Have you understood this concept?
Yes, sir.
And the same is
Yes.
given on next page of your book also. Then coming to the length of day. Have you all noted this down?
Sir, Ishan is saying to let him in.
Sir, 1 minute.
Quickly write it down, beta. Let me read it once again. Tropical zones receives direct rays of the sun, therefore more terrestrial radiation. Polar regions receive slanting rays of the sun, therefore less terrestrial radiation. Okay. So this is the logical concept that you should understand. Is it clear, children?
Sir.
Okay. Then length of the day. These days, if you see at 5 o'clock, you can see the daylight. And it remains till 7:30. Do you agree?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, exactly. You agree with this. Now, if the length of the day is more, that means Earth is exposed to sun for a longer period of time. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
And if Earth is exposed for a longer period of time, the heating effect will be more or less? More. So longer the day, more will be the terrestrial radiation. Shorter the day, less will be the terrestrial radiation. Is this concept clear?
Yes. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, fine. Then thickness of the atmosphere. Now, we all know that the troposphere is the only layer of the atmosphere where most of the weather phenomena occur, because this layer is the densest layer. This is the densest layer. Priyanshi, are you listening to me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So because it is the densest layer, right? Now, just because it being a densest layer, so more heat energy will be trapped or less heat energy will be trapped? Tell me this.
Sir, more. Sir, more.
But in the polar regions, the density of the troposphere is less or more?
Sir, less because they.
Sir, less.
Because
Less.
that is cooler.
Okay. So just because of this, because more the thickness, more will be the terrestrial radiation, and less the thickness, less will be the terrestrial radiation. Okay. Is that clear? So it is in your book, it is given there. If you see that, the intensity of insolation at the Earth's surface, it's on page number 30. Just read it down. Depends upon the thickness of the atmosphere. The insolation received per unit area in polar region is minimum. Why is insolation less in polar regions? Because of the slanting rays of the sun also. Yes, we have discussed this. And minimum
Yes.
because of the thickness of the atmosphere. Is that clear? So this point, you can write it in two ways. First of all, that the insolation will also be less. Why insolation will be less? Because the sun rays are slanting. And the other factor, because of the less density of the atmosphere, also is the reason why the terrestrial radiation is also less. Because insolation is less, so terrestrial radiation will automatically be less. Agree?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then coming to the distribution of land and water. Acha, tell me one thing. If the area has more land, terrestrial radiation will be more or less?
Sir, more.
But obviously,
More.
because land will be absorbing more heat. See, water is a good absorbent of heat and it lowers down the temperature. But land does not lowers down the temperature. It in return increases the temperature. Right? So if the area has more land, more terrestrial radiation. If the area has more water, means less terrestrial radiation.
Less terrestrial radiation.
Is that clear? So
Excuse me, sir.
these are the reasons for the insulation and the terrestrial radiation. Yeah. What is the who is asking?
Sir, can I go to
Krishna.
washroom?
Yeah. Can I?
Sir, can I go to washroom?
Yeah. Please. Please go. So have you understood this part, children?
Yes,
Let me move to, so write down the question. Mention the factors on which, mention the factors, you write down, mention the factors that affect, write it like down. I'm writing it here. Look on the screen. Mention the factors that affect insulation. Received on Earth. See, more insulation, more will be terrestrial radiation, right? How much time is left, children, for the break? I think it's
Sir, it is over.
okay. Then we'll meet after 15 minutes with the same thing, right? Okay.
Okay,
you
sir.
all can leave. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.